Hello class, my name is Patrick Archulano and I'm going to do student art critique video analysis. So the first painting I'm going to start with is Woman with a Parasol. This painting was created by Claude Monet. He was a central figure in the Imperialist movement, which reshaped French painting in the second half of the 19th century. During his career, Monet decided the landscapes and leisure activities of Paris and its surroundings, as well as the Normandy coast. In developing a unique aesthetic that attempted to capture on canvas the very act of observing nature, he paved the way for 20th century modernism. Monet was raised in Normandy, where he was introduced to plein air painting by Eugene, who painted resorts in the Dada region of the Channel's coast. He subsequently studied informally with John Kind at the age of 22. Monet joined Giraud's studio in Paris, and his classes were Auguste Revere, Frederic Bazille, and other future imperialists. Monet enjoyed limited success in these years, with his most notable painting, Woman with a Parasol, is a painting of exactly what it says. A woman with a parasol, assuming that the title is the subject of the artwork, being that this is also Monet's one impressionist painting. I could easily assume that the woman in the subject now, there are also some subordinates in the painting like Parasol and the boy who are off to the side and out to the main view. The content of this painting is very straight to the point, as well being it was painted by impressionists. So in turn, this painting is purely representational. Claude Monet's painting of a woman with a parasol is truly a memorizing and nicely done piece of artwork. It was painted by Monet in 1875 in Argenteuil, France. This spot specifically was a prime area for families to take and walk together. In turn, I assume that's why it was painted. So what better models for an artwork than his own wife and son? His wife, the woman holding a parasol, is pictured on the top center of the painting, while his son is painted off to the bottom of the left pane. The painting is very harmonic overall. It has a very closely knit set of colors used and is mostly cool. The harmony is most throughout the sky. The outfits of the woman and the boy are also on the shadows. There is some variety throughout the painting. Through it is shown underside of the woman's arm being yellow, while her dress is sky blue, white in the shadow, and also a comparison of the shadows with the dark green to the sunny ground, the light green next to each other. The painting is being very realistic. It's really not going to have a lot of variety. Otherwise, it would contradict the realism of the painting and it would look like it was not a real view, but more of an imaginative one. The clouds are also very repetitive in shape, as well as the plants below the woman and child. These also create more harmony to add to the picture. The painting is not hard to look and not chaotic whatsoever, and is very calm and slow moving. The scales and proportions of this painting is very realistic, as to be expected from an impressionist painting. The woman and the boy are both painted at a realistic size, taking the factors of view Monet must have in the clouds beyond it. The shadows are also painted to the scale of their owners. The proportions of the woman and the boy's bodies are very proportionate to that of a real person's body. That is also to be expected because Monet's painting only views he had of things, so being this is view of his wife and his son, the rest roughly can be proportionate to actually how he envisioned and saw them. The colors used in his painting were very cool and attuned towards nature. The greens and the yellows were directed to show the planet's shadow and sunny below the woman and the boy on the hill. The blues and the whites of the sky were to show the colors of the skies, clouds in it. The blues were used in the dress of the woman and the boy to show a shadow white t-shirt for the boy and a shadow white dress for a woman. You can also find this out by the backside of the woman. Lines used that are pretty white to suggest that the sun is the beginning of the creep around the dress, making it white. Overall, this painting uses an analogous color composition of blues, yellows, greens, and neutral white of dominant the painting and is very objective based. Color choice as to be expected by impressionists like Claude Monet. The next painting we're going to do is Livery Leading by the People by Eugene Dilrux. The oil painting of Livery Leading the People dates from 1830. Dilrux was a French artist who created this piece. He's also considered to be one of the greatest romantic painters of all time. It was during the French Revolution of the 1830s that Dilrux began the painting. The French people were open to the war and protest restrictive ordinance based on Charles X, King of the France, of the publications in July of 1830. In response, working middle class citizens fought back against the Royal Army. Charles X renounced his throne. As a result of these events, the French people detested him for his failures as king. The citizens' king Louis Philippe then took over the throne, establishing a constitutional monarchy. Dilrux relied on the Royal Commission to prevent him from taking part in the revolt of the country. According to historians, this event that took place during the revolutionary period in France gave Dilrux inspiration to create the painting, particularly when he saw revolutionaries raise the French national flag on Notre Dame. He was touched. He completed the paintings in just 3 months. The painting was induced with 23 other revolution-inspired paintings in the actual exhibition of French art held in 1831 in Dilrux. One of the leading romantic painters of this day combined the realism and idealism of liberty, leading the people to create the events that represents, which drew strong reactions from the critics and viewers who were divided on whether the painting was heroic or distasteful. Liberty leading the people is a painting filled with detail. There's a half-naked woman dominating the painting. She appears to be a woman leading the revolution. As a symbol of liberty, she is often compared to the Statue of Liberty. She holds a French flag, tricolor in one hand and a musket in the other hand. Notre Dame Cathedral is visible in the background of the artwork. The rebels in the artwork come from a variety of backgrounds and social classes. It is evident from their clothing and weapons. The man waving the saber is a factory worker. A top-hatted man, the gun is known as a bourgeoisie, a middle-class man with money. There's also a man on his knees with the color, which is said to be a country worker, a polytechnician whose schools disguise itself in rebellion, where typical cocked hat in the background, two dead soldiers in the foreground are wearing uniforms of royal troops fighting with the insurrection, a Swiss guard and a cavalryman. However, the main figure is still depicted as a woman who portrays a symbol of liberty with gray, half-naked and muscular activists slipping over corpses without a second thought. The painting was bought by the government of the July monarchy and exhibited briefly at the Musée de Luxembourg in Paris. After losing in favor of the government and being taken out, it spent the next few years in storage. The work was later returned to the artist before being exhibited again at the Luxembourg. After being transferred to Louisville in 1874, it became one of Dilrux's most popular works. It is still now located in Louvre in a museum in Paris, France, known as Louvre. Thank you so much for your time.